Look, if you're tuning into this explainer, you've probably felt that sheer chaos of trying to wrangle your finances at some point, right? Well, today, I'm officially stepping in as your personal financial coach. Our mission? Super straightforward. We are going to build a simple, sustainable 90-day budget plan based on the fantastic concepts from Steve Green's book, Financial Health in the 30 Steps. We're talking about finally moving away from debt chaos and toward a truly balanced budget. But here is the secret sauce. We are going to create a plan that actually fits your unique personality and your everyday lifestyle. No forced molds, no impossible standards, just real, lasting habits. Let's get into it.
So, I've got to ask you a tough question right out of the gate. Why did your last budget fail? And I'm asking this directly because I want to validate a super common struggle. For a lot of us, especially if you've got a variable freelance income or if you naturally lean toward impulsive habits when you're just plain exhausted, past attempts at budgeting have totally collapsed. And honestly, it usually leaves you feeling like you're somehow failing at adulthood. But I'm here to tell you, as your coach, you are absolutely not bad with money. The problem wasn't you. The problem was that the system you tried to use was completely mismatched to your actual real life. Think about the contrast here. On one side, you have the quote-unquote perfect budget. Oh, you know the one. It's this massive, impressive 14-tab spreadsheet. It's got intricate formulas, gorgeous color coding, and you probably spent an entire Sunday afternoon watching a 2-hour tutorial just to set the thing up. But on the other side, we have reality. A bad week. Because here is the absolute truth about behavioral psychology. When your stress goes up, complexity inevitably collapses. When you're emotionally drained or totally overwhelmed by life, you are simply not going to open up a complicated spreadsheet to reconcile 23 different spending categories. No way.
You know, we so often blame a lack of discipline for our financial slip-ups. But the real culprit? It's a bandwidth problem. When you have too many options, too many categories, and literally dozens of micro-decisions to make every single day, you hit cognitive overload. Decision fatigue sets in big time. And under pressure, our brains naturally prefer simple rules. If your budgeting system demands a level of mental attention you just do not have available, you're going to abandon it. It becomes a short-lived hobby, not an actual financial system. Okay, so here's our game plan for today's session. First, why perfect budgets break. Second, budgeting as decision guardrails. Third, 4 simple budget methods. Fourth, naming your financial identity. Fifth, the GPS recalibration protocol. And finally, your first simple win. Starting right off with Section 1, why perfect budgets break. We really need to dismantle this myth that you have to be some sort of math genius to manage your money effectively. The paradox of choice tells us that adding unnecessary complexity just makes taking action harder. We need to choose boring on purpose. Why? Because simple systems scale and complicated systems break. Just like Steve Green says, a budget is not a restriction tool. It is a decision tool. And guys, this is a massive mindset shift. So many of us view budgets as straight up handcuffs, like a way to punish ourselves or strip away all the joy in life. But a good budget? It's actually a system of pre-made decisions. It protects your mental energy. By deciding in advance exactly where your money goes, you don't have to agonize over every single swipe of your card. You're just following the decisions you already made when you were calm, collected, and clear-headed. Moving to Section 2, budgeting as decision guardrails. This brings us to a really cool concept, seeing budgeting as decision guardrails. We want to combine that necessary financial discipline with actual flexibility. Think about driving on a winding mountain road. The guardrails aren't there to stop you from driving, they're there to keep you safely on the path so you can actually enjoy the view without panicking. A solid budget reduces your daily micro-decisions. That prevents burnout and helps you naturally delay gratification by adding just a tiny bit of conscious friction to your spending. To pull this off without burning out, your budget honestly only needs to answer 3 core questions. What must be covered first? What can I safely spend? And what am I building toward? If your budget can answer those 3 things, it is doing its job. Keeping it simple like this dramatically increases the chance you'll stick to it. Remember, we tend to spend mindlessly unless we create visibility. These questions, they give us that exact visibility.
All right, Section 3, 4 simple budget methods.
Now for the really practical part. I am officially challenging you to a 90-day experiment to find your perfect match. Now, your goal today is not to find the one perfect method carved into stone tablets. Your goal is simply to pick one of the 4 methods I'm about to walk through, the one that really matches your personality, and stick with it for exactly 90 days. First up, the 50-30-20 ratio.
This divides your money into needs, wants, and savings. It's fantastic if your income is stable and you absolutely loathe tracking details. But watch out if you have high debt. If your credit card interest is draining money faster than your savings account is growing it, you've got to adjust these percentages. To put it super simply, credit interest is the penalty you pay a bank to borrow their money, while savings yield is the reward the bank pays you for keeping your money with them. When credit interest is higher than your savings yield, it actively drains your wealth. Next is the zero-based budget. Every single dollar gets a specific job before the month even starts. Brilliant for detail-oriented people who love tight oversight. But, and this is a big but, if you have a heavy variable income, like as a freelancer, this method might feel incredibly stressful. Third is pay yourself first. You automate your savings and debt payments immediately, cover your fixed bills, and whatever is left over is just flexible. If you resist rigid categories but love automation, this is definitely your winner. Finally, the weekly cap. You figure out your flexible money for the whole month and divide it by 4. You get a set amount per week, and when it's gone, spending pauses. If you have a variable income or you know you're an impulsive spender who tends to blow through cash early in the month, this shorter feedback loop is an absolute lifesaver. As your coach, I really want you to practice what psychology calls realistic self-alignment. Just pick the one that fits the brain you already have.
I really want to stamp this next thought right into your mind. A 70% accurate budget that you actually use easily beats a 100% accurate budget that you completely abandon. Sustainability beats sophistication every single time. It is so much better to have a slightly imperfect pay-yourself-first plan that you repeat week after week than a flawless zero-based spreadsheet that you completely quit by day 5.
Let's hit section 4, naming your financial identity. So let's touch on the fascinating psychological side of habit building. We are going to create a financial identity by actually naming your new 90-day budget plan. Believe it or not, behavioral science proves that people maintain habits way better when they feel real ownership over them. Look at these real examples from Steve Green's readers. The Calm Plan, because they wanted peace, not a financial diet. Or the No Surprise System, because their goal was simply to stop being shocked every time they checked their bank account. When you give your budget a name that reflects your personal values, it transforms. It goes from a tool of punishment into a tool of personal identity. And values? Well, they're the emotional fuel of consistency. To protect that shiny new identity, we have to face reality for a second. What is your actual failure trigger? A lot of us know we struggle with budgeting, but we rarely name the actual reason. Is it boredom? Is it shame when you overspend? Is it just simple forgetfulness? Do you get super impulsive when you're tired? Or does a low tolerance for financial risk cause you to panic save and then suddenly binge spend? Listen, these aren't budgeting problems. They're psychological patterns. Once you name your pattern, you can actually design your newly chosen method around it. If diving into the details triggers boredom, then choose the pay yourself first method. It's all about building a system that respects your natural traits.
Section 5, the GPS recalibration protocol.
Of course, life happens, right? So what exactly happens when a sudden expense hits? Because, spoiler alert, they absolutely will. I love this metaphor from the source material for dealing with sudden expenses without losing your peace of mind. Quote, "If you take a wrong turn, the GPS recalculates. It does not scream at you." End quote. When your car needs a sudden repair or an unexpected medical bill shows up in the mail, your budget hasn't failed. You haven't failed. You just need some calibration. Your budget doesn't yell at you that you're terrible at managing money. It just recalculates the route. Now, to make sure you avoid total panic in times of trouble, I want you to memorize this specific 4-step crisis response protocol. Step 1, acknowledge the sudden expense. It's here, it's real, let's look at it. Step 2, pause non-essential spending immediately. Just gently hit the brakes on the flexible stuff. Step 3, recalibrate your numbers using your chosen budget method. Maybe you adjust your weekly cap or shift some funds in your zero-based plan. Oh, and by the way, this is also the exact moment you pull out your emergency contact checklist for your financial institutions. If you need to negotiate a payment plan, adjust a due date, or access a specialized emergency fund, having those phone numbers ready prevents all that stressful last-minute scrambling. And finally, step 4, continue without panic or guilt. This is exactly how you handle sudden expenses without sacrificing your peace of mind. You don't abandon the whole system, you just adjust the math.
And finally, section 6, your first simple win.
We are in the final stretch of today's coaching session. We've laid out the groundwork, you're gonna select a method, and we've prepared for crises. Now, taking on the role of your mentor here, I need you to take immediate, small action. Right now, I want you to choose just one of these micro commitments to implement this week. Maybe you cancel one unused subscription, just one. Or maybe you increase your automatic savings by a barely noticeable $10. We really aren't trying to boil the ocean here. The goal is a quick,
immediate success that requires very little bandwidth.
The reason we start small is because success creates energy. And energy, well, that creates consistency. If you lock in a small win today, you're going to have the emotional momentum needed to sustain your new personalized budget for the full 90-day test period. You are literally building the muscle of consistency, and that is exactly where long-term financial stability is born.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought as we wrap up this explainer. You've got the tools, you understand your personality better, and you know how to recalibrate without all that guilt. The only thing left to do is to take ownership. So, what will you name your 90-day experiment? Really think about it, write it down, and let that name be the very first step toward your brand new financial reality. You've totally got this.